Aditya Digital Network presents the longest running episodic talk show in India in association with the Dusra.net, India's number one and only sports, education, and entertainment. Rishabh Pant finds himself in the midst of controversy once again as the chief selector now comes up with another gem that Pant is trying to emulate Dhoni. Who else should Pant emulate? Should he emulate the chief selector or discard himself? If you look at the options whom Rishabh Pant can look forward to, from whom he can take tips how to be a better keeper, or he can just have a candid conversation with. There aren't too many options apart from MS Dhoni and up to some extent a Parthe Patel and Dinesh Kart. We are only taking this MSK Prasad seriously because he is the chief selector. But once he gives way his job to a new person, whoever that may be, not one soul will ask him anything. There is nothing wrong if Pant wants to prove himself as a rightful heir to MS Dhoni. Haven't we had the same discussion with respect to Kohli and Tendulkar? 5 years ago, everyone said Tendulkar's record cannot be broken. Now, like a chameleon, the same individuals have changed their tune. Now they are saying that Kohli will break all records of Tendulkar, but the question is who will break Kohli's record? Pant doesn't need to look much further than the likes of Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne and David Warner. When the likes of Ricky Ponting, Adam Gilchrist and their contemporaries retired, the question was who would take over. There was constant rhetoric that the domestic scene is full of players who prefer 20 over matches rather than 50 and test over matches, and David Warner had found himself in this group. And now, 8 years post his debut, you cannot have a team without Steve Smith, David Warner, and Marnus Labuschagne. Even Steve Smith was a number 8 batter who could bat a bit and bowl leg spin. Now, this Steve Smith is being compared to Don Bradman because of the frantic way in which he scores centuries, and a Marnus Labuschagne who came into the team only because Steve Smith was injured because of concussion and people doubted his talent because he was also a leg spinner who could bat a bit, and now he has made himself a part of the team and not apart from the team. It's lucky that Pant is only 22 and is still establishing himself in the team in terms of number of matches he has played. Had he played around 60-70 matches, he would have told the chief selector to keep his mouth shut. The same way Jadeja took pot shots at a certain retired player, saying things like he doesn't have time or is running out of time and the selection of another keeper is putting pressure on him is an indirect message to him that you better buck up is not the way to boost up somebody's morale. Former players said that Sanju Samson's selection in the squad for the 320 over matches against the West Indies is a strong message for Pant to either perform or perish. Such statements are defamatory and it comes from a former player whose career himself was on the line. But one individual who has been the focus of attention apart from Pant has not said one such thing, and that shows that players' empathy and understanding of other players' struggles. The strange thing is that Dhoni has been out of action since the semi final of the World Cup. It means that he made it clear that he will not be a part of the team for too long and he is looking forward to other options. His slow run scoring in the World Cup was also questioned. So he did what everybody wanted. He stayed away from the team. But the nature of this sport is such that despite everybody wanting this particular individual not to be a part of the team and desperately wanting him to retire, and he is not being baited, so the media is becoming frustrated. It shows the gullibility of the human nature. Once upon a time, we didn't want MS Dhoni in the team. We wanted younger players, and when MS Dhoni is not in the team, then we want him back. Why? Because the younger players are not performing up to the standards set by MS Dhoni. Even the coach has dipped his beak in the MS Dhoni future plans. Everybody apart from the main actor has come up with something that what he should do, what he should not do. Should he be a part of the 2020 World Cup in a year's time? The coach tried to clear some doubts by saying that if Dhoni performs well in the 20 over domestic tournament, then he may find himself a part of the team which will be going to Australia. So, what is the lesson in this? If you want people to remember you, don't be around, and then people will remember you because they are hungry for something and they want attention by giving you attention. In a way, Dhoni has become immortal, and as Bruce Lee said, the key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering. But let's talk about the specifics with respect to the match a week from today. That is the first 20 over match between India and West Indies on the 6th of December in Hyderabad. Let's see what the playing 11 should be, and it won't be a difficult choice. Kohli and Rohit as the openers, Rahul at number 3, Iyer at number 4, Pant at number 5, and then the all rounders. Now, in all rounders, there are so many choices. There is Washington Sundar, Jadeja, Shivam Dube. Only two out of these three individuals can play, and going by the emotional aspect, one might see Jadeja being pipped over Dube. Because then they have to accommodate Chahal and Kuldeep somehow. So with the all-rounders available in Dube, Jadeja and Sundar, only two out of these three can play. And who are the two who are going to play? I said that in the emotional aspect, Jadeja might get a chance. Then that leaves Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Cheher as the fast bowling all-rounders, and then the four spinners in Jadeja, Sundar, Kuldeep and Cheher. It will be a difficult choice to keep Shivam Dube out of the team when a couple of weeks ago he was at one point of time not even considered good enough, and then he comes and picks up 3 wickets and changes the course of the match. So it will be a difficult choice when they look for the all-rounder option because they have so many. They have an emerging one in Deepak Cheher. They have two established ones in Jadeja and Sundar as well as Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and with no Hardik Pandya or Kunal Pandya available, they have to go with individuals who can score fast in the end. They obviously cannot drop Rahul because Rahul played well in the last match, and then with Kohli coming back as the captain, he will continue to play. Or the solution is rest Rohit for the first match, open with Rahul and Kohli, get in Sanju Samson or Manish Pandey as your extra batter, and then play Shivam Dube instead of going with four spinners. Or what could be the second alternate team? And this one looks radical at best. This is a team which I am talking about, which would only be good for applications like Dream 11, but such a team may never become a reality. But let's look at a team which also looks good. Kohli and Pant as the opener. Now the question is, why is Pant opening? My answer is a certain Rohit Sharma's career took off after we promoted him to the opener's slot, and in a couple of years' time, he will close the curtains on his career. So let's look at the future team. Kohli is playing, yes. Pant is opening, the best option right now. Rahul may or may not be there. He will always be there, but let's see a team without Rahul and Rohit. So Kohli and Pant as the opener, Iyer at number 3, Samson at number 4, Pandey at number 5, Dubey slash Hardik Pandya at number 6, Kunal or Jadeja at number 7. Then Washington Sundar remains constant in the team. Kuldeep, Booby, Chehar make 9, 10, 11. And a few fanatics will question why not Dhoni in the team. Well, I would want Dhoni in the team, but does he want to be in the team? Is he going to call curtains? Is he going to drop a bombshell somewhere in January? If you remember in a press conference when he was asked about his retirement, he said, "Ask me in January." As of now, anything surrounding MS Dhoni and discussion around MS Dhoni is speculation because MS Dhoni doesn't want to talk about MS Dhoni, but everyone else wants to talk about MS Dhoni. Despite the fact that post the World Cup, we didn't want him in the team, we wanted to move on because during the World Cup, we went after him like a pack of wolves, like a ton of bricks falling on his head, that he played slow. In fact, in these 3 matches, despite the result of the series, we should continue to experiment in terms of opening positions, in terms of batting positions. All the 15 players in the team should get a chance. Irrespective of the result. Yes, result is important, but it will have no impact. Then we also have a few players who are not present right now. The likes of Surya Kumar Yadav, Prithvi Shaw, Shubman Gill, Nitish Rana. Whichever new selection committee comes, they have to be mature enough and look beyond the fact that whether this player is scoring runs or not. Anybody who has the potential, even if they score 4 ducks in 4 consecutive matches, they still have to be in the team. Otherwise, the coach saying that the Indian 20 over domestic tournament that happens in April, May every year is to be a benchmark for MS Dhoni. Why do we need to have 2 domestic tournaments if the one that happens in April and May is the benchmark for a player to perform? What is the logic of having this Syed Mushtaq Ali tournament when nobody gains anything from it? This tournament has been scheduled just to fill in the calendar, but we all know that we only have one T20 domestic tournament, often nicknamed as the Indian Premier League, except for the Indian Cricket Board, which schedules this tournament, the Syed Mushtaq Ali T20 Cup. If you ask anyone who has ever been watching domestic tournaments in India, for them, the only 20 over domestic tournament and the only one which has glamour, entertainment, as well as good sporting matches is the IPL. This tournament is only scheduled because of the contractual obligations between the broadcaster and the Indian Cricket Board. The investment in this tournament is zero, as one can notice in the player's jersey, the crowd, and where the matches are being held. At best, this tournament is only a practice towards the big leagues. As the coach made it clear that Dhoni's and everybody else's performance in the Premier Domestic Tournament, that is the one which happens in April and May, will be a benchmark for their selection and their future in the team. Not once did he say that the Syed Mushtaq Ali tournament, which has often been erroneously call the Premier T20 domestic tournament as the benchmark. The grounds are empty, there is no glamour. The stadiums, which are usually decked like a wedding hall during that tournament, look empty and desolate when this tournament happened. The fringe nature of this tournament is evident with the selection of the commentators who are equally fringe, like the fringe players, the fringe nature of the tournament. Because if this tournament had any kind of importance apart from the contractual obligations to broadcast it, then the selectors would have also said that we are looking forward to the performance in this tournament and we will have backup players ready as per the need. All this and more is evident that we don't need two 20 over domestic tournaments. In fact, the two tournaments should be merged. Otherwise, this tournament will be treated like the Santosh Trophy, the Nehru Cup, which were once called the premier domestic tournaments in football and hockey. But thanks to IHL and ISL, people have forgotten what is the Santosh Trophy, what is the Nehru Cup. There are such tournaments in other sports, but once tournaments like Premier Badminton League comes up, where players are bought and sold like objects, people pay more attention to that. So the case in point is, instead of having so many domestic tournaments and confusing people, why don't we just merge them? Why don't we merge the Nehru Cup with the IHL, the Santosh Trophy, the Mohan Bagan Cup with the ISL? And if some business houses and corporates are ready to put in the investment in the tournament, they feel they have the right to, then merging these tournaments will give chances to more players. In the end, it's all about money and not about your talent alone. The emotional aspect with respect to tournaments like Santosh Trophy, Nehru Cup, and the Syed Mustaq Ali tournament has to go. Because if these tournaments are happening and people are not aware, then the players' effort, the organizers' effort, if they don't get anything back, it's a waste of everybody's time. Because for the players who are playing in this tournament, they have only one objective in mind: to be selected by the different teams in the Indian Domestic League or IPL, as well as the selection for the Indian team. So if you look at the players' mindset, they will say that we are only playing because we will be selected for the different teams like Mumbai Super Kings, Chennai Indians, Kolkata Capitals, Delhi Knight Riders, etc. This tournament and its matches are often scheduled at 10 a.m. Who in the world will watch a match at 10 a.m., especially a 20 over match? It defies logic. So, is the Indian Cricket Board, who organizes this tournament and schedules it for the sake of having a T20 domestic tournament, happy with empty grounds when you schedule matches at 10 a.m. or schedule matches in nondescript and obscure ground where people don't even know such a tournament is happening? They are reluctant to advertise for this tournament because the rules don't allow. But when it comes to the IPL or the T20 domestic tournament, it suddenly is a different show altogether. It becomes glamorous. I can give you an example of the attitude towards such a tournament. For example, if a match from this tournament is going on and I opened a channel on which this tournament is being broadcasted, and if somebody who has no knowledge of this tournament, they lay their eyes on it, the first question they will ask is, has the IPL started so soon? The jerseys don't look familiar, the grounds don't look familiar, the players are not familiar, are the questions that will come in their mind. And if such is the reaction that the Indian Cricket Board is looking for, then this tournament is a huge waste of resources. The solution is either cancel the tournament or merge it with that one. Or the amount spent, the exorbitant amount spent on that tournament, the same amount should also be spent on this tournament. For example, if a player is getting paid in lakhs, then the players in this tournament should also be remunerated in the same manner. If they travel in first class in that tournament, the same should happen here. If they are living in 5-star hotels, then the same treatment should be provided here. And if a few individuals ask why are we doing this, then tell them if we can do it for that tournament, then we have to glamorize, advertise, publicize incessantly so that people watch, people come to the grounds. Tournament's quality is also adorned by the commentators, and if you have fringe commentators who were basically discards or nobody knew them, then the tournament will also suffer in the same manner that nobody will know except for the media, who also talks about this tournament in the same insulting manner as they talk about Santosh Trophy or Nehru Cup. If this tournament is not on the radar of the captain and the coach and other players, then it is a waste of resources. Hope you enjoyed this episode, the last episode of November 2019. Please send your valuable suggestions through your comments and audio recording to the email ID adityatherewriter@gmail.com. You can also like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and Facebook page, and stay tuned for the next episode.